Greetings everybody, this is Leviathan here, and today, guess what? We got it, man. We've been talking on stream about a PTR coming, hopefully either last week or this week, and we have a revelation here. Patch 2.6.7 PTR is going to be live this coming Thursday, October 17th. Usually they try to aim to have it live midday, but we've known in the past from waiting for PTRs that sometimes it comes live a little later in the day if there's issues, so just kind of be around on Thursday, I suppose, if you're looking to hop in and test. This is going to be another 1 week PTR, which is something they said, they want to do going forward. They are trying to make these expedited testing periods available for us. This PTR corresponds with season 19, so we'll have, as we go down here, details on the coming seasonal theme. It's titled Pandemonium. Get excited. And also some really exciting stuff, because as you guys remember in the blog post that we covered that talked about the future of Diablo 3, one of the major things that we took away from that is that they're going to be making additional sets, one for each class, which is crazy. It enables new playstyles. It could potentially shake up the meta based on how powerful and effective they are. We have 2 of them here in this PTR, so very exciting stuff. I'm gonna detail everything. A link to these specific notes are going to be in the video description, so check that if you want to see the exact details as I read along here. Just hype, man, so much hype. Definitely hop into the comments, let me know what you think after this. So like I mentioned, patch 2.6.7 PTR, it's coming this Thursday, October 17th, so make sure you've got some time available to play test it if you like to do that. There's going to be buffs active to help with the testing, increased legendary drop rate, and double blood shards. And there's also the dank meme PTR vendor. So I believe what will happen is, if you want the new Crusader set, which is a little bit of spoilers of this classes that got sets, if you want the Crusader set, you would just buy the Crusader pack. It should give you the new set. And if you want the Monk one, which is the other class that got a new set here, then you would buy the Monk pack as well. We'll see what happens when we actually get into PTR, but that's how it's worked in the past. And with the double blood shards, you should be able to buy a ton of packs and just get really good gear that way. As mentioned previously, PTR goals. Monk and Crusaders, they want heavy testing on it because they have new class sets and item changes. That was another thing that was mentioned in that blog post I previously mentioned. I'll put a link to that, a video that we covered with that in the video description as well too, in case you want to go back and see what that whole future Diablo 3 blog was about. But they also mentioned that they are going to, as they create these new sets, also either update or add legendary powers to help out with those sets. Because as you know from D3, you usually have like your 6-piece set and a couple of like corresponding legendaries that go to help that set out, because sets are basically just there to buff certain skills, and then you have the ancillary items to buff those skills further. We have a lot of Barbarian items that got reworked for legendary powers. So that's something that, the Barbs, for the last, I don't even know how long, have definitely been feeling a bit underpowered. There's been a lot of community uproar for help to the Barbs. So they got a few items here. They didn't get their class set, which I thought was surprising, because I would have assumed, oh, they want to help Barbs. That'll be the first class to get a new set right away, just to give them that extra power. But they did mention that they understood that the Barbs need help, so they wanted to at least give them some of these item improvements, and then the future set, the new set for them is coming as well. And then the Pandemonium buff, which is tied to the season 19, they want us to experiment with that to find bugs and test functionality with it. It seems like a really interesting one. So I know you guys just like, what is it all about? Let's get to the meat. Let's scroll down here. A couple of quick things though. Greater Rift keys will now be vacuum pickup, so the same way that you can, I believe this will work like when you click on a DB and it picks up all the DBs. You just click on one Greater Rift key and it'll swoop up all the rest. I believe that'll be that, unless they're actually meaning it works like the blood shards, which is you don't even have to click, they just get swept up. I guess we'll see. I think the vacuum pickup is mostly when you pick one thing up and it gets the rest though. But when PTR goes live, we'll exactly see how that functions. As far as seasons, here we go. One of the biggest pieces of feedback from season 18's buff with the Triune was that it didn't stick with your character while you adventure. So I'm guessing, because it's something on the ground, you have to stand in it. It wasn't tied directly to your actual character. So with season 19, they've altered course and upped the ante by experimenting with new mechanics to add an element of both chaos and power to the battlefield. It's going to feel like Pandemonium. And it may be a consideration whether or not you want to reset your kill streak for a particular kill streak bonus versus continuously maintaining the overall effect, especially since the highest level kill streak rewards will be harder to leverage in situations like Greater Rifts. Kill streaks with higher kill count requirements are more powerful, and we're looking forward to see what players think of and do with them. So this is basically like if you've played Path of Exile, that other game we're not supposed to mention, like Rampage. That's a mechanic over there where as you kill, like, you just get more powerful, basically. This doesn't quite work like that as far as I understand it. You're going to be able to make these kill streaks, similar to massacre bonuses like we're in the game right now, but those all rely around experience, so they've never really been tied to power. But this, as you can see this list here coming up, there's certain rewards you can get when you end a kill streak after a certain amount of kills. So let's read the exact details here just so we have it all on paper. For the duration of the season, all players will have a stacking buff that persists as long as you have hit or killed a monster within the last 5 seconds. So that's important. You can increase it by killing enemies, but you can maintain it by hitting or killing an enemy. So that's good to know, just because sometimes you have these amazing buffs and they fall off because you don't get kills. So the fact that this is hits is huge. Potentially could lead right in from like the moment you enter a Greater Rift, if you're doing like a speed Greater Rift, until you kill the Greater Rift Guardian. Although it's a 5-second duration, and you know the Greater Rift Guardian takes some time to spawn in. We'll have to see if that's by the time the Greater Rift Guardian spawns, if your thing falls off, because that would actually really suck. They maybe have to make this just a little bit longer so you can maintain the hit and the kill streak on the Guardian. We'll see. So here you go. Each stack gives you 0.05% movement speed and 0.1% bonus damage. And this will cap at 50% movement speed and 100% damage, which is 1,000 stacks. 1,000 enemies. I can't even think. I'm curious how many enemies we kill in general, because the only time I've seen really high massacre bonuses is in the cow level, not the cow level. As soon as you got tons of cows in there, I've seen like 600 plus massacre bonuses in there. So this will be interesting to see if anyone actually can get 1,000 stacks. After reaching a certain number of kills in a row, a power is unleashed, dealing an amount of scaling damage based on player level and difficulty or Greater Rift level. Oh, so this makes it sound, I thought it was you had to decide if you wanted, because that's kind of what it was sounding like above, was you would have to decide if you wanted to drop it to release the power for being at that threshold or keep it going. But this makes it sound like when you hit that threshold, it just unleashes it and it can keep going. Maybe that's not the case though. I guess, again, we'll have to test functionality. This is a very interesting seasonal buff though, I have to tell you that much. So 15 kills would make 5 massive energy twisters unleash. So I'm guessing that's like the twisters from Wizard. 30 kills, you get dark geysers forming beneath enemies. This is beneath every single enemy. It's kind of interesting. What's the radius? What skill is that going to be modeled after? What damage does it do? Yeah, I'm curious what the damage of all these is. Does it scale off the Greater Rift? Does it scale off your damage? Is it a set amount of damage? 50 kills, exploding chickens, seek and destroy. That's interesting. Maybe something from the Cluck Eye. 100 kills, corpses rain from the sky. I can see that being modeled after a bunch of things like acid rain or acid cloud, acid rain, whatever from Witch Doctors, for instance. 150 kills, a wide frost nova freezes enemies. So you just get like a nice stun there, nice freeze. 200 kills, treasure chests fall from the sky. Now I'm guessing this is like the greed attack. If you remember in when you do like a puzzle ring, you go to the vault, there is an attack. If you don't kill greed super fast, she does do one attack where she drops treasure chests from the sky. And they do damage and then they also drop gold. They're not like chests you can interact with, so if it's modeled after that, I'm guessing it might work that way. But there's no gold in Greater Rifts either, so that's something to keep in mind. 300 kills gives you a ring of fire that engulfs everything. That might be similar to like the Hellfire ring, maybe. The old one. Or maybe the, there's the gem that you can put in your helm from the Darkening of Tristram. That sends out like a fire thing. It's supposed to be, you know, similar to Diablo's fire attack. I wonder if it's something like that, perhaps. And again, we have to see like how much damage, like how much is it going to be worth it to get to these kill streaks. 400 kills, meteors hail from above. Meteors already in the game, so I guess that's that. 500 kills, angels descend upon the battlefield to fight for your cause. So there's already an item in the game. I think it's called Sky something, Sky Forge. I don't remember. No one uses it, but there is like a one-handed sword in the game that has this legendary power on it, basically. So they come in and they fight for you, and they do take aggro. So that can be kind of interesting. They don't really do a lot of damage, at least from the legendary power, so maybe this will be a buffed up version of that. And then 1,000 kills are not telling us what happens here. So first person to pull this off will have a nice little interesting highlight. We'll definitely try to get that done on the PTR. I have to think where you can get 1,000 kills though. Maybe Ruins of Corvus or something? I don't know, let me know what you guys think. What do you think about this in general, this whole seasonal theme? Definitely is different, right? This is not your double goblins, your double bounty catches. This is definitely them, again, taking that next step to make really interesting and substantial seasonal buffs, and I'm all for it. I actually really enjoy if they're trying to get innovative and think outside the box. So something like this seems like it'll be cool, and it should work. This isn't one that you really will get a lot of joy out of, like a lot of use out of early on, I feel like, because you're just not killing very quickly or expeditiously. But as you gear up, you know, think of like once your multi-shot DH is online or something, you can definitely rack up the kills, and that'll be for regular rifts, greater rifts, etc. Definitely will slow down in greater rifts once you're like pushing and stuff too. So this might mainly be for speed farming that will benefit from this the most, and it does help speed farming too because you get movement speed and extra damage. Okay. And then, this is important to note too. So the powers are tracked at a group level, which means only one power can be active in play at a time, regardless of the number of players in a group. So this actually is one that was kind of a side note. I wouldn't say complaint, but a side note of the Season 18 current buff is that it was really great in groups because you got multiple circles with different options potentially with more players in your group. So it was actually just super good for groups and okay for solo because you only got that one circle, and hopefully it was the one that you actually wanted at that time. This one sounds like it'll just be one benefit despite the number of players, so it does keep things a little more even between group and solo, but of course groups can always put together better kill streaks because they just have more power and more sources of damage coming out, and they'll be able to potentially maintain those streaks better because you'll have somebody out there hitting an enemy, which will keep that streak going, right? So this will be something to keep an eye on. How does it compare to solo and groups, and then just in general testing all these and seeing if the damage is actually worthwhile and intriguing. But at least right away you do have bonuses from getting the stacks themselves. 1,000 stacks, huh? Interesting. Alright, so then we're moving on to the items. This is the other part of the PTR here that's interesting. 2 new sets like I mentioned. We have one for Crusader and one for Monk, and then some legendary powers to enhance those sets, and as well some items for the Barbarians to give them a little bit of a holdover until they get their set. So they mentioned they are going to roll out new class sets for every class in D3, starting with 2.6.7 for the Season of Eternal Conflict, which is, I guess, the official name of next season, Season 19. We're focusing on the 2 classes that embody the light and wield some form of holy elemental damage, Crusader and Monk. You'll also find a handful of returned or newly added legendary powers intended to synergize with the new class sets. They did a lot of community research into which skills were most requested by players and underrepresented in current builds. Hope you're as excited as we are for the new gameplay options. Other class sets are going to be coming in later patches, so if your class isn't represented, do not fret. Don't fret. They're coming in a future patch. And this is what we, again, in the blog post previously mentioned, that was what we had taken from it, was that they would be doled out in pieces. Like one patch would give you maybe 1 or 2. Looks like maybe it's going to be 2 per patch. And then I guess 1 for 1 patch, maybe 3 for 1 patch, which would have it all done in 3 more patches, right? 2, 2. Actually, no, if it was 3 for the last one, it'd be 2, 2, 3. So that'd be 2 more patches. If it was 2, 2, 2, 1, that's 1 more extra patch. And like you'd basically finishing the new sets by next year, this time. Also, I'll mention here, there's a significant number of Barb item changes in this patch. While the Barb class will be getting a set, the class set will be coming at a later date, we very much heard the war cry from our dedicated Barb community and implemented a number of changes heavily inspired by some extremely thorough feedback. Not every suggestion was taken one-to-one, but the thoughtful analysis helped guide the changes. So this is basically a thank you to the community. Those Barbs were crazy, man. They put out some insane guides for changes and stuff. So this is a big thank you to them. For expressing their concerns in a respectful and constructive manner. It was helpful. So the new Crusader set, Aegis of Valor. Guys, I'm so happy about this one. Fist of the Heavens is my favorite skill for the Crusader. When I first got it on Reaper of Souls like opening night and finally unlocked Fist of the Heavens, I tried it once and like my jaw just dropped, and I was like, this is the skill for me. And then there wasn't really much support for it, so you couldn't really use it. You had to go Condemn or Stampede, and then we got the other sets for Crusaders, and it was over for Fist of the Heavens. Besides, you know, if you like Shotgun and stuff like that. But actually, no, not even, because Shotgun's heavily, or the other one. Yeah, so yeah, there was no Fist of the Heavens, right? But they gave it a few items over like a patch or two, and that still didn't do much for it. But now we got a set for this sucker. So 2-piece bonus, charge bolts from Fist of the Heavens has a chance to cast another Fist of the Heavens. I wonder what the chance is. We definitely have to see exactly what that is. I kind of wish they would tell us. Maybe it's just 50%, 75%. I wish we would know. I think each Fist of the Heavens casts 6 or 8 bolts. I looked this up a little bit previously. But I could not tell you offhand. We can actually, you know what I could do is I can bring up, I have a Diablo planner, because I had a little suspicion from a birdie that this was coming, so I was actually thinking of some ways to look at this and see what we would be doing. So basically, I call this secret sauce, and this is kind of my initial setup for what we'll be doing here. So Fist of the Heavens, there it is. So it releases 6 bolts. So you basically have 6 chances to proc this extra chance to cast another one. So that's pretty insane, right? Like if all 6 proc, then you'll have 7 Fist of the Heavens from one cast. And there's stuff that allows you, there's a belt with a power that makes your Fist of the Heavens cast reduced in terms of the cost. So you should just be able to spam, and just have the screen filled with these Fist of the Heavens. And then I wonder if the ones that get cast from this would cast more, but usually procs don't procs. So that's kind of the thing to keep in mind. We'll have to test it. You can tell I'm super excited about this. We have to test it. The 4-piece bonus, hitting with Fist of the Heavens reduces damage taken by 1% for 5 seconds. It stacks up to 50 times, so a 50% damage reduction, which is pretty standard for a lot of sets these days. That's your typical 4-piece damage reduction on it. And then the 6-piece bonus just gives you a gigantic increase of damage for Fist of the Heavens, 10,000%. Again, this PTR too, so these numbers can potentially fluctuate if they feel like we need more defense out of the set, more damage out of the set. You know, we'll have to see exactly what this will be capable of. Man, I'm so excited. And actually, let me skip the monk real quick just to let you know about Dark Light. So this is the weapon. It's the one-handed flail that has Fist of the Heavens synergy. So it's getting an additional legendary power to increase the damage of Fist of the Heavens by 200 to 250%, so another multiplier on there. And then Fist of the Heavens is getting a 100% chance to be cast twice. So now think about the ramifications. With Dark Light, 1 cast equals 2, 6 bolts, 12 bolts, all those with potential to make more. Oh my gosh, your screen just gonna be like... And the rune that I like the most on Fist of the Heavens is Fissure, because if you have one Fist of the Heavens and another one over here, they make like a little lightning line between them. So now I want to know if all those will just connect all the lines and you just have this like crazy array of, you know, zone of damage that's just going to be disgusting to stand in. I think that will be one of the best runes for it, but there's some other ones that are interesting too I was trying to think about as well. I'll also put a link to the D3 planner in the video description too, and you guys can take a look at that and let me know if you think of other ways to build it. That'll be the thing I'll be testing the most. For monks, you guys also got some great stuff here too. The new set's called Patterns of Justice, and the 2-piece set bonus is that Sweeping Wind gains the effect of every rune. The 4-piece bonus is that each enemy within Sweeping Wind increases your movement speed by 5%. It stacks up to 10 times, so a 50% increase to your movement speed. And then Sweeping Wind gains all the runes. And then a 6-piece bonus that attacking with Tempest Rush while Sweeping Wind is active is going to temporarily increase the size of Sweeping Wind after hitting over 30 times within a short period. Sweeping Wind damage is increased by 10,000%. So this is basically a Sweeping Wind set with synergy with Tempest Rush to activate your Sweeping Wind further. One thing I do notice here is that there's no damage reduction unless one of the runes of Sweeping Wind gives you something. So it's kind of interesting, might be a little squishy. This seems like it's setting up some kind of speed farm build though. And one of the, actually I will say, by the way, we did a video with predictions slash like things that we wanted. for all the different classes in terms of skills the sets would support, and we were accurate on both. Fist of the Heavens was the one that I really wanted for Crusader. Bang, we got it. And then Monk, we were thinking like it would be nice to see a return to Sweeping Wind. Back in Vanilla, there were like the blue tornadoes coming from Sweeping Wind. That was like one of the most used skills. And that's coming back now, along with every rune in Sweeping Wind. And we were also saying that Tempest Rush was kind of the one thing that didn't really... people always wanted to make some sort of cool Tempest Rush build, but it wasn't quite coming together. So there's a Tempest Rush Daibo and Bracer that synergizes here. And then there's, of course, some Sweeping Wind items, too. And actually, I'll go ahead and give you the skinny on the Legendaries that got updated for this. So Eye of the Storm, which is a Legendary Spirit Stone, you can see here. When Sweeping Wind hits exactly one enemy, its damage is increased by 100%. So this is giving you a little bit of that help in single target situations. And then Vengeful Wind, which is one of the fist weapons. It's actually used right now with Sun Wukong, or maybe not even more, or anymore, but it was at one point used with Sun Wukong, because that has a Sweeping Wind synergy there. Increases the max stack count of Sweeping Wind to 10. Just flat out to 10. Previously it was 6 to 7. So you get 10 here. And I think there's a belt for Sweeping Wind. And I think that also gave you stacks too, if I'm not mistaken. I know it refreshes your stacks. I don't know if it also gives you stacks. So in any case though, I think you'll just have stacks anyway, so you might not want to use this. You might not want to use the belt, but I think the belt did give you maybe damage as well. You can tell I'm not a super monk player, so I'm just trying to theory craft out loud. But there's definitely some interesting stuff here. And this is also getting a legendary power to give bonus damage, a nice multiplier of more Sweeping Wind damage by 250 to 300%. I think I still probably will try to test this. I know I won't be the best person to test Monk, and I'll definitely fully focus on Crusader the most. But this just seems really cool. It seems like it'd be fun. So I do want to test that too. Let me know what you guys think about both the Monk or the Crusader set. Hop into the comments. We have some things, like we did mention, some Barb stuff. But very first, Wizard. I know you guys have seen the chatter about how just ridiculously OP Wizard is. It looks like they're getting a nerf. Chantoto's Resolve, which is the set bonus from the 2 Chantoto's items, the set wand and source. The scaled attack speed damage bonus to Wave of Destruction has been reduced. By how much? They don't say. Not sure how much this is going to knock down the wizards with this set, because you're using the Vir Chantoto's Archon at the moment, and it just farms. It's so good. This is a reactive adjustment from an earlier change to how Wave of Destruction receives a bonus from attack speed. They did change this, I think, once or maybe twice on the PTR last time around. So this is something that I guess they felt it's overperforming. The buff was doing a bit more than we expected, so we're reining it in. I wonder, I imagine they won't gut it, because a lot of people seem to like the playstyle, and it is very easy to use, very easy to gear, but maybe it just won't be as strong. We'll see. I wonder what the Wizards will feel about this one. No one likes to get nerfed, so, you know, but maybe it'll make things a little more interesting. As far as the Barbarians, like I mentioned, they have some stuff coming here before they get their new set. Wrath of the Waste is getting a nice bonus. Damage bonus on the 6-piece set now also applies to Rend. You guys are going to really like this, because I know a lot of Barbarians were saying it felt so clunky to have Rend worked into the Wrath of the Waste set, because you have to stop whirlwinding to cast Rend. Well, we got you covered with that in just a couple seconds here. Lamentation is getting a legendary power, which is a belt. Before, it gave you that your Rends can stack 2 times on an enemy. And I think they're adding to it as well with an increase on the damage of Rend by 150 to 200%. So new multiplier, along with this ability to stack multiple Rends. It doesn't say that's overriding it, it just says additional. So I think that's adding on to it. Amble's Pride is a one-handed mighty weapon. Look at this. It happened. Finally. Attacking with Whirlwind also applies Rend, and the total damage of Rend is dealt over 1 second. So a lot of people were saying, man, you know what would make it all work is if I didn't have to stop whirlwinding, if my whirlwind could just apply Rend. Bang. You got it with a power here now. So maybe this becomes like the cube item for Wrath of the Waste or something. Because not only are you getting your Rends applied, and then maybe you're using the Lamentation to like super duper stack it. Although maybe you don't super duper stack. You do want the multiplier though, so you're probably using this if you care about your Rends. But you're dealing them over 1 second, so it's just insta popping your Rends That is a little interesting because there is a rend rune that gives you healing, and you kind of would like to have that coming back in over time, but maybe it all works out. I'm not sure. There is healing on Whirlwind for a rune too, so maybe you just get your healing from that. Anyway, more stuff. Remorseless, Hammer of the Ancients has a 25 to 30% chance to summon an ancient for 20 seconds. So what happened here? That's what it is right now. Oh, so they're just reminding us that that's what the power is. Oh, that's what it was. We get a new legendary power here. So while both Wrath of the Berserker and Call of the Ancients are active, and this is a one-handed mighty weapon, by the way, Hammer of the Ancients deals 200 to 250% more damage. Wow, so they're just doubling down on Hammer of the Ancients. Interesting. This one, I feel like, is a buff to Lawn Hammer of the Ancients. Because right now, if you're doing, or Legacy of Dreams, if you will, too, that's I think, proven to be the most powerful version of Hammer of the Ancients, but you can't use the sets, right? So you can't use the Little Rogue and Slanderer, which is what a lot of people like because you get crazy attack speed from it. So they were just using like random one-handers, like fast attack speed one-handers that just had maybe okay powers. This should replace that for sure. This gives you a dedicated Hammer of the Ancients to utilize. Although this does also seem like it's wanting you to use it with IK too, huh? Because Wrath of the Berserker and Call of the Ancients. I'm not sure that Legacy of Dreams uses Call of the Ancients right now, but maybe they do. I haven't played that version. So I guess we'll see. You guys, you Barbarians, let me know what you think of your changes in the comments. So you're getting a nice multiplier to your Hammer of the Ancients here. You got one that helps out Seismic Slam here, Fjord Cutter, another one of the legendary mighty weapons, one-hander. It had this power before, it just gave you a chilling aura when attacking, whoop-de-doo. That's basically like what Bane of the Trapped already did for you. But now you get a new legendary power where Seismic Slam attacks 50% faster and also deals 100 to 150% increased damage against slowed or chilled enemies. So that's interesting because Seismic Slam is kind of a mid-range attack, I would say. I wouldn't necessarily call it range, but like mid-range. So you might not be in the radius of a Bane of the Trapped. But I think there are slow runes on Seismic Slam, and I know there are bracers that help Seismic Slam. I don't know if they also add a slow or anything like that, but there could be some synergy there. Having this attack faster is actually really sick, though, because one of the things I always disliked about Seismic Slam, whenever I tried it, was that it just felt so slow to get it done, especially if you're coming from Hammer of the Ancients, where you're just like... At least now, maybe with Seismic Slam getting that extra attack speed, you'll be like... You know? Accurate representations, by the way. Here are those bracers. Yeah, so those bracers of destruction. So yeah, all it did was just give you increased damage for the first few enemies that you hit. Now it's being reworked so that Seismic Slam deals 400 to 500% increased damage to the first 5 to 10 enemies that it hits. I'm guessing that actually might just be a replacement of the 5 and giving you for 10. So just making it a little more powerful against groups. Because you do want to, in Diablo 3, kill a lot of groups of monsters usually. So this could limit you. This helps a little bit more. Fury of the Ancients, which is the shoulders that usually most people include in like your IK builds to get your Ancients giving you a lot of, almost said hatred, a lot of fury back when they get the Ancients Fury rune for free. Call the Ancients now gains the rune still, and your Ancients attack 100% faster. So that's cool. So now they're getting an extra attack speed buff from this. And that means they'll just get the fury back way, way faster. So this essentially can be something you might equip if you have good uptime on your Call of the Ancients, and you want them to be your generator for your fury. If they're attacking hella fast and they're not dying, then you don't need a generator anymore. I mean, most builds are usually getting rid of generators anyways. Like Hammer of the Ancients refunding its own. Maybe this is to help out Seismic Slam in particular. In an IK setup. That's kind of where I'm seeing this initially. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a good change. Bone Ringer, da Bone Ringer. So this is the Necromancer OP item. It basically acts as another Bane of the Stricken. It now has a cap. They have capped it to 60 stacks, and there's a big note here that we never intended for this item to be used in a way where you farm stacks for an egregious amount of time, like 5+ minutes, and then watch all their health, I'm guessing they mean like Rift Guardian health, all the monsters' health disappear in less than a second. It's not an engaging style of gameplay, and we don't want that experience to be the best way to play Necromancer. The tone of this feels so like punitive. Like, shame on you Necromancers for doing this. But yeah, I wonder what this will affect. Primarily, I'm thinking right away of Thorn's Necros. I think this will probably limit a bit of their damage output. Maybe it won't make them the best Rift Guardian killer anymore. I think it should still make them pretty strong, because 60 stacks should still be very solid. The Necros will have to test this out. I personally do not like the Necro class at all, so I will not touch this. I'll just look to see what people are saying about it as PTR goes on. And last but not least, well, we have two more. Legacy of Dreams here. This gem is now more likely to drop from a Greater Rift Guardian. So I think what this is doing is trying to make this gem get into your inventory sooner when you're like starting a new season. And that's great because it's such a nice gem at the beginning before you have a set put together, or if you're just like not even really caring about your Hadrix gift set. If you just want to build Legacy of Dreams, some people, you know, really like this style of play where you can just equip whatever legendaries. So you know how Bane of the Powerful is guaranteed to be your first gem. I wouldn't be surprised if this new increase in rate makes this like your second or third or fourth or fifth gem. Which will be useful for players that just want to hurry up and get their Legacy of Dreams online. They want to fulfill their dreams! Got a little change to Blighter here. Blighter's Poison Tentacles area of effect now hits less frequently but at higher damage when attacking players. This is a nerf to Thorn's Necro. So you're actually getting hit twice. Because one of the big things that Thorn's Necros want are AoE attacks, or just attacks in general that tick a lot, because they want to get the ticks to make Thorns checks, right? And once the Thorns checks are happening, it's just boom, 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 reflecting that those checks of damage back to the enemy. So this means that Blighter will likely not be one of the greater Rift Guardians for Thorn's Necros as RGKs to see. They didn't touch some of the others, like what's his name? Bloodmaw, I think is his name. It's not coming to me, but the guy that jumps around and he creates those little like areas of like ground effect damage. Those tick too, and they tick pretty well. So usually Thorn's Necros like that as well. But Blighter was like by far the best. So I guess you're fishing a little harder now potentially for greater rifts to kill. We'll see though, because I mean, I don't know. It feels like players have GR 150 on farms so easily now. I don't even know if the boss matters anymore. I haven't been keeping up with that group stuff. Lastly, we have some bug fixes. For Spite, they fix an issue where casting Restless Giant would cause the 200% physical bonus damage to fail to apply when the Gargantuan enraged. So that's just a little bug there. I don't know if people were experiencing Spite not really working out. I saw a few people complaining that it felt like it wasn't doing what it was supposed to, so maybe this addresses that. And then Squirt's Necklace, oh my god. This is going to be great. Because right now, in the current season, there are all these little things, little attacks that take your squirts off when it's not supposed to. You have a shield pylon, there's like frozen, boom, your squirts is gone. A couple of Rift Guardian attacks, like Blighter for instance, does a little ground area of effect, boom, your squirts is gone. The Fire Emblem thing from Mancarver, boom, squirts is gone. So I wonder if it fixes all of these, hopefully. I mean, it's PTR, so we can just go in and check and hopefully continue to report that, hey, you missed this one for Squirts. But they fixed an issue where some ground effects were causing Squirt's necklace buff to fall off despite being shielded. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Squirts is such an awesome, awesome thing if you can make it work. But this was already making it frustrating when you could make it work. And that's it, guys, for PTR for 2.6.7. The biggest takeaways, your TLDR, TLDW, 2 new sets, one for Crusader, one for Monk. Crusader one focusing around Fist of the Heavens. Monk one focusing around Sweeping Wind with synergy on Tempest Rush. And then the actual seasonal theme for next season, Pandemonium, which is basically like a rampage, massacre, kill streak system, where as you kill more things, you get increased movement speed and damage, and you also get interesting effects at certain thresholds of kill streak. So, all that said, again, these notes will be in the video description. Check them out if you want exact details on anything I covered. If I read through it too fast or you didn't catch it exactly, feel free to check that out. I definitely want to hear from you guys in the comments. This is a pretty interesting patch. Remember, PTR starts this Thursday, October 17th. I will be in there. I'll be streaming. You can see on up top. It's a little obscured because you got some white there, but twitch.tv/Leviathan111. Come check out the stream. I'll stream as soon as PTR is live, and then a couple times over the weekend as well. We'll get the Crusader testing. We'll test out a new character in Seasonal and see how the buff is working out and stuff like that. I'm hyped, guys. I'm glad that Diablo 3 continues to get support, continues to get some updates. It's going to make for some fun times for a game that's so old at this point that we all know and love. Hopefully we can find some new adventures and some new ways to kill bad guys. So thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure you like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to check out more videos coming to the channel in the future. And I will catch you in the next one. Stay safe out there, everybody. And take care.